Temprano yo te buscaré, de madrugada yo me acercaré a ti. Mi alma te anhela y tiene sed para ver tu gloria y tu poder. Mi socorro has sido tú, y en la sombra de tus alas yo me gozaré. Mi alma está pegada a ti, porque tu diestra me ha sostenido. Oh, tu diestra me ha sostenido. Dice una vez más: temprano yo te buscaré.
God bless everyone. Welcome to the Extreme Faith Radio Show. We're going to start off with this song. It's called Make Room by Community Music. And right after this, we'll get right into, what do you call it, the episode, right? We'll get right into the episode. So God bless everyone, and we'll see y'all soon.
Surrender. Here is where do whatever you want to do whatever you want to, and I will make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to. Can we all sing this in one voice? Come on. Here is where I lay it down. You are all I'm chasing now. This is my surrender. This is my surrender. Here is where I lay it down. You are all I'm chasing now. This is my surrender. This is my surrender.
Amen. That was, what song did I say that was, Wesley? Make Room. Yeah, thank you. Oh, yeah, sorry, we're checking that mic. That was Make Room by Community Music. And, oh, yeah, Tristan, sorry, you can go ahead and go in with the camera. God bless everybody. It's another Thursday, another episode, and it's good to be here. I'm glad that we had the opportunity to be here in the house of worship and praise on this radio show. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say about, other than that. But yeah, no, God is good, and I'm glad to be here. So I was kind of thinking about tonight's episode and just kind of the topic, and I was telling Felicity and everybody here that I think this is gonna be I would say a 2-part series.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a 2-part series, kind of the way it's looking, and I'm excited for it because I feel like there's a lot to this topic. I feel like there's a lot to this specific story, and what that story is going to be is what?
Oh, what?
Oh, what? Oh, no. I wasn't sure. Again, the title was, what was the title, Tristan? Yeah, you gotta say it in the mic, Tristan. Oh, well.
It was God Remember Me.
Yeah, God Remember Me. And it'd be like, well, what does that mean? Where'd you get that from? We're going to get into where we got that from. But that comes later on the series. But before we get into, kind of everything that we were thinking about, I kind of just want to leave it pretty open. Like, I know Felicity had mentioned, if there's questions or any, how would you say it?
Just like if there's any questions that you guys have, or I guess really questions. If there's any really questions that you have, or prayer requests, just send them our way and we'll kind of read them out. Or for all your young ones out there, if you want any advice, just go ahead and send them. We'll try to help you out as best as we can in between the story, and maybe even tie it into the story. But yeah. Oh, that's it?
Oh, okay. No, I just wasn't sure if there was something else. But yeah, we have that kind of open. So you can go ahead and text it into the prayer group, or also too on the chat.
YouTube.
We'll be checking both of them. And we are joined today. Today we weren't going to have anybody on. I'm just going to be honest. We weren't going to have anybody on. It was just going to be us flying solo. But you know what? Things change and things happen. And, someone had to tag along with me. Go ahead and change the camera. That's enough said. See, the smile says it enough. We're joined by who? You gotta say it in the mic. Tristan, why did you turn the mic off?
I don't know why you turned it off.
Okay. So who is it?
Well, Brandon.
Well, hi, Brandon.
Hello. What'd you do last time?
I'm Brandon.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Brandon. No, we're joined with Brandon. Like I said, we're at work today, and your dad left.
Yep, he left.
Your dad left, and so I was like, why don't you tag along, right? Things happen for a reason, and so maybe this is something that will relate to you, or maybe you'll hear something from this. And speaking of the guy himself, your dad, he just pulled in to the church driveway. So I don't know which way he's going. He's going another way, but that was kind of weird that we were talking about him when he shows up. But yeah, so we're gonna go with it, and yeah, we're gonna get into this. How do you say it? Story?
Yeah, it's called a story.
Right,
This
we'll call it a story, but it's not really a story. I mean, it is a story. It's a true story. It's real.
Or maybe it's a story you guys have heard many times before.
Yes, and I think those are the things that I like reading about. I know I've mentioned this too. Like, there's a lot of times, when reading the Bible. I remember growing up, like being raised in the church, you read the Bible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Quite often, and just in class, you hear stories, you hear different things like that, and sometimes you never. How do you say that? You never really. You take it just as a story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like any other story that you would read.
Yeah.
And so I like going back now that I'm, growing up and stuff like that and becoming older, and really trying to seek the scriptures to receive something from it, not just as a story. And, kind of reading into this story, and not only this story, but this book in the Bible, there's a lot to it. And it's kind of a crazy book, right? And it's really cool to read, and it's really cool to look at, a lot of stuff that's happening in this book.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, we're pretty much going to be in Judges today. So we know what we're talking about. What book are we reading, Tristan?
Judges.
So what are we going to be talking about?
Song.
Okay, now I'll just let you back up. What's the title of the book called?
Wait, Judges. Or Judging?
Okay, the title is, the book is Judges.
Okay.
So what do you think we're talking about? Judges.
That's what I said.
No, you said judging.
He said judging? And I said, no, not judging. Judges. And it's kind of simple. Like, it's so simple. And that was funny because, like I said, growing up, I just read the Bible for what it was.
Yeah.
And, I would love to, like, for you guys, the younger guys here, and, the younger youth, the younger people here, to kind of get you guys to, like you said, the book of Judges is called Judges, right? And sometimes it's just like, well, we think the Bible is just like, how do I say it? Like, kind of all sounds the same and talks about the same stuff. But, like, there's a lot of stuff in here. Like, the book of Judges talks about judges.
No, yeah, but I also think that, like, with that, in those books, we just had that main story. Like, as far as for me, growing up, Judges was just Samson. That's what I knew it for, Samson. You can look at other stories, too. You can look at Genesis. The beginning, right? Exodus, Moses. So Judges for me was, Samson. Because that's the story that pops out, right?
Yeah.
But there's so much more deeper into it.
Yeah, and even just about the story of Samson.
No, yeah.
And ding, 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 ding. That's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about the story of Samson today. And like I said, I love talking about things that, I feel like I need to hear too. And I feel like this story is a really good story to always keep in mind. A good part of the Bible to always remember, because there's a lot to it. And like I said, just this book in general, there's a lot to it. And I guess we can kind of already start getting into it and giving a little preface of what the book is about.
Yeah.
And so I know, Fuzzy, I'd asked you about to look up how many judges there were. So I don't know if you want to go ahead and talk about it.
So there were 12 judges in total. But really in the book of Judges, there were 6 main ones. I give you the names if you want to kind of read them out.
Oh, you want me to read them?
Yeah, I think you have a
because they're
nice-
hard. They're hard names, and she doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, because I'm gonna embarrass myself.
Okay. 12. Wait, why'd you say 12?
Because there's 12 judges in total, but there's 6 main ones. So
Okay.
you said how many were there? There's 12.
Oh, okay. I see the way she put it up. So there's Othniel. We're
Mhm.
gonna go with that. There's Ehud. There's Shamgar. There's Deborah. There's Gideon. There's Tola. There's Jar. Right, we're gonna say
Mhm.
that. There's Chep. I know why you sent it to me now.
Yeah.
Because if she was trying to read this, I mean,
It'd been
yeah, she
difficult.
would not have enjoyed this at all. There's Jephthah.
Yeah.
Jephthah. There's Ibzan, Elon, and Abdon.
And then our last one would
And our
be
last one,
Samson.
Samson. And Samson was the last judge in the
Mhm.
book of Judges.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of crazy. It's like, well, why are there so many judges here, right? Why is there so much going on here?
Mhm.
And like I said, man, I just wish, like, growing up, like when I was y'all's age, and by y'all, I'm saying, you know, referring to the youth, and also referring to the youth that I have in front of me, Tristan and Brandon. But again, the younger people, like, if from reading, seeing it now, I wish I really would have seen and paid attention to the word. How do I say this? I wish I would have paid attention to it. Again, and taking it more than just a story, taking it
Yeah.
more than just just some words and, you know, what's right in front of me. Because it's really interesting to see that, you know, there's all these judges here, because it's like, again, why are there all these judges here? Well, because they kept on falling and,
Mhm.
you know,
Getting worse.
and, you know, I guess you could say making God angry, right? Or
Mhm.
displeasing God and failing God, right? Falling into other idols, falling into different things. And so God would have to send these judges, right? And it's crazy to think, right, that, you know, all this stuff was happening. God's trying to, like, get a hold of his people.
Mhm.
And again, there's so much to it, right? But for me, I just read the story of Samson, and I was like, oh, okay. There was it's kind of
Strong
funny.
man.
But yeah, it's kind of funny. But like before we started the radio, Brandon, I think, had asked, "What are we talking about?" And then I go, "Well, we're gonna talk about." I was like, "I think we're gonna talk about." No, I didn't even ask him. I didn't even say, "I think we're gonna talk about." I think I just said, "We're
Do
gonna
you
talk
know?
about." Oh yeah, I said, "We're gonna." Do you know who Samson is? And Brandon goes, I don't know. And then and I go, I just said it just to see if it would throw him off. I go, yeah, he was that blind guy. And he goes, well, there was a lot of blind guys. And I was like, yeah, that is true. There was a lot of blind people. And then Tristan goes, what did you say, Tristan? He was that real strong guy,
No,
right?
I was like, let me demify it for you.
Yeah, but you said,
But yeah,
can you
I was
closer to the mic?
I was like, he's that real strong guy, long hair.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, you know. I was like, let me.
But what'd you say about the towers?
Yeah, that's. What, I was like, let me demify it for you. I was like, yeah, he was. Was it? What did I say? Tied up to the pillars, pulled the pillars down, killed people.
Yeah. Anyways, it was just funny kind of seeing them all, like, trying to figure out what the story of Sam was, right? And then it's just like, again, that's how I remember seeing things. Just like when you asked about the story of Samson, that's what I got from the story of Samson, was that strong guy.
He was a strong guy, and he killed a bunch of people.
And he killed a lot of Philistines. But I didn't know why he was even a part of the Bible.
Mhm.
And I actually heard a comment the other day saying that there is no irrelevant scripture in the Bible.
Mhm.
And I think that is so important to think. And to not think, I think that's so important to understand. That there is not one scripture that is irrelevant. God is not a God of being irrelevant, right?
Mhm.
God's not an irrelevant God. You know, he doesn't just say things to say things. He doesn't just do things to do things. And I think, like, sometimes we read this word and it's kind of irrelevant. Like, okay, well, that story was what it was, right? You know, from just a small scripture of Jesus wept. That's the shortest scripture in the Bible. Like, that's irrelevant. Or just like, there's little things that sometimes we can say, I don't know what that has to do, right? Like, again, just in like the story, the way you guys were like talking about it, I was like, yeah, strong guy kills a lot of people, the end, right?
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes we can say like, that's just that story, like there's nothing more to it. But again, I think it's important for the young people and, you know, people, the kids growing up, and even us now. Sometimes I'll fall into just reading a scripture, reading a passage, just to read it, like just to read it as it is. But I know it's really important to understand that there is no irrelevant scripture here, and that a scripture is not here just to add some extra words. Like every single word that God has given, it's for a reason, right? And so all these stories, again, it's for a reason. And it's so, oh man, I love the way God works, because now that I'm saying this, you know, I was reading the story of Samson. You know what? Let's just go ahead and get into it, right? I think that's just the best thing to do. But again, God bless everybody. And, you know, I pray that that this topic and that we can have a pretty good conversation tonight. And, you know, if there's any other comments or things that y'all, you know, want to add, again, like I said, feel free to add it to the chat. Go ahead and give the video a like, right? The live stream, I know it's like my dad was saying, it spreads the video. And you never know who's out there listening. Might just be on YouTube scrolling around and the video pops up, and might be something that they need to hear. Like I said, God is not a God of coincidence. He's not a God of irrelevant things. He does everything for a reason, and it's very important for us to know that. And even from the fact of you being here, Brandon, like I said, I didn't think anyone was going to be on, but everything kind of happens for a reason. You're here. So, you know, there's a reason for it, and we're, like I said, let's see what God's going to show us. Before that, I'll read this comment that we got from the lovely, the beautiful Lori Cardoza, my aunt. It says, praise the Lord, may God bless you for your commitment to spread God's love. We love her. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. The story of Samson starts in Judges 13, chapter 13. And so we'll go ahead and start reading from here. Like I said, the book of Judges is just a great book to read. And to not just read as just a story, but like I said, with the understanding to see it for what it is, and not just a story, right? But we'll go ahead and start in chapter 13. And it says, and the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord. And the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years. And so right out the bat, it's like we start another chapter, right? And the way it starts it, and the children of Israel did evil again. So like this is a reoccurring thing.
Yeah,
right?
This was a cycle with the
This
Israelites.
is a cycle. Yeah, this thing just kind of keeps happening. And again, I love the way God works, because how many times in our lives can we do evil again in the sight of God?
Many a time.
Yeah. How many times do we let God down, right? How many times do we just mess up, right? And so again, it says, and the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years. Again, just so we know, the Philistines are enemies of Israel. They're not like, you know, Burnett and Marble Falls, you know, just like, hey, driving in between each other. Like, no, there's wars going on between these people, and they don't like each other. You know, it's like one of those things, you know, it's like, don't pass this line, or, you know, death, right? It's some, it's some dangerous times between the two. And so, like it says here, and the Lord delivered them into the hands. Like, not that there was this big battle and they're like, oh my gosh, like, you know, it's coming down. No, like, God gave them to the Philistines. God gave them to their enemies. And so, verse 2, and it says, and there was a certain man of Zorah, of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren, and bare not. Verse 3, and the angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman, and said unto her, behold, now thou art barren, and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive and bear a son. Verse 4, now therefore beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine nor strong drink, and eat not any unclean thing, for lo, thou shalt conceive, and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite unto God from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. Verse 6, then the woman came and told her husband, saying, a man of God came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of God, very terrible. But I asked him not whence he was, neither told he me his name. Okay, we're going to stop there. Because there's a lot of stuff in this, right? And so, again, so we can see that God gave the people of Israel, his people, to the enemies. He delivered them, right? You guys get a package from Amazon, you get a delivered package, right? It just shows up to your door. That's pretty much what's happening here. He just delivers them to the Philistines. It's theirs now. And so for 40 years. For 40 years they're in captivity underneath their enemies. Right? They're being captive of their enemies. It's, I think that's some crazy stuff. And so it starts off again with talking about this family. And the wife was not able to have any children. And it says that an angel shows up to him and tells the wife, again, like it says, behold, now thou art barren, and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive and bear a son. Now, therefore, beware, I pray. I think this is very important in verse 4. So the angel is talking to the wife, right? And the angel is like, hey, I understand your situation, right? I know you can't have any children. But thou shalt conceive and bear a son. So it says, I know this is what you... Oh, man, it's pretty cool. So I know it's like, this is what she knows. She knows that she can't have kids. She knows that this is just how her life is. But God has different plans, right? And so it's like, even in the midst of their enemies, even being captive of the Philistines, they don't see anything else. They see, okay, we're captives. They see, this is our lives. And let's just put our eyes in her life for a little bit, for just like a second. She's captive, right? They're underneath the Philistines, enemies of them. And she can't have children, right? And that's all she knows. But then God steps in. And God's like, I know this is what you've known, and I know this is what you've seen, but I'm going to this is what's going to happen. You're going to bear a child. So I think that's just kind of like a cool little side thing, right? Cool. It's like sometimes we can think this is how our life is. Sometimes we can think this is just how it is. And when God has something completely planned
like
that we don't see.
Like we've accepted it already. Like,
we've
accepted what it is going to
this
be.
is my life. And God's like, no,
it's completely different.
Yeah, I have something else. I have a different plan for you. And so the angel starts telling her, now therefore, again, verse 4, pay close attention to it. Now therefore beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine nor strong drink, and eat not any unclean thing. For lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head. For the child shall be a Nazarite unto God from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. And I like that, right? Because the angel shows up, and he's like, all right, I know your situation, I know what's going to happen, but God has different plans for you. But here are the rules. Here's what you have to do, right? And sometimes it's like we're going to want things like, you know what I'm saying? We want things just kind of given to us, and we want things like with no, what's the word? With no...
rules?
Yeah, no rules, but it's like, we kind of want it our way. Like, I just want it just to go however it's going to go, right? And it's not that easy. Like, there's conditions. Without conditions, that's what I was looking for. But God has some rules that we have to follow. There's some rules here that he's given to them, right? And I wonder why, right? To test obedience, to test, right? Because that could be one of the things. Can be just like, well, okay. Because how easy would it be for God just to give him a baby and the baby just grows up normal, and not that he can't cut his hair, right? Like, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's about this? Again, maybe there's more things that we don't see. Like, God's trying to test obedience, and again, that's something for us to think about, right? We want things without conditions sometimes, but the conditions are there so that God can see something in us. We want things scot-free, real easy, and there has to be sometimes things that come up in our lives
No, yeah.
to test where we're going to be, right? Because it talks about in
Yeah.
the Bible the testing of faith,
Mhm.
the trying of faith.
No, and I think that's a good point because you also see it later in the story how
Mhm.
that test was disobeyed by Samson.
Mhm.
And so, again, it's already starting from a young age all the way to his manhood,
Mhm.
and it gets disobeyed. So
Yeah.
I think, which we'll get onto the story.
Yeah, that's later.
But,
But,
kind of seeing, leading
you
up
can
to
see
it.
where it starts.
Mhm.
You can see where it starts again, where, again, the conditions are laid down, just like when we walk into
Yeah.
a relationship with Christ. The conditions are laid down.
Mhm.
And, again, we thank God for his mercy, and we thank God for his grace. Man, that's why I like the
Yeah.
story, okay?
'Cause we'll see
Yeah,
the
because
upcoming things of,
everything
like-
just comes back in. It's just like,
Mhm.
wow, this is awesome. But again, there's conditions. And sometimes we want things without conditions, but, we have these things. God puts... There's no coincidence. Everything happens in our life for a reason, right? And so, again, sometimes trials come up, and we've talked about it on the show. Trials
Mhm.
come up to test faith. Trials come up to test your obedience. Trials come up for different things. And so, again, these rules are being set down. Maybe for the obedience, like we were talking about,
Mhm.
for different things. In verse 5, he was talking about no razor, so he can't cut his hair, right? That's one of the rules, too. So he has rules for the mom. I don't want you to drink. I don't want you to do anything that comes from a vine. Nothing like that.
Mhm.
And then now there's rules for Samson. And he's not born yet, but this is what's going to happen. He can never cut his hair, right? And that's what it's saying in verse 5. For lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite unto God from the womb. And he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. So he's, right? It's plain and simple. I don't think there's any confusion there. The rules are simple, and everything's, right, kind of
Mhm.
laid out there. And verse 6. Then the woman came and told her husband, saying, A man of God came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of God, very terrible. But I asked him not whence he was, neither told me his name. Verse 7. But he said unto me, Behold, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and now drink no wine nor strong drink, neither eat any unclean thing. For the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb to the day of his death. Okay. Then Manoah entreated the Lord and said, O my Lord, let the man of God which thou didst send come again unto us, and teach us what we shall do unto the child that shall be born. Verse 9. And God hearkened to the voice of Manoah, and the angel of God came again unto the woman, as she sat in the field, but Manoah her husband was not with her. Verse 10. And the woman made haste and ran and showed her husband, and said unto him, Behold, the man hath appeared unto me, that came unto me the other day. And Manoah arose and went after his wife, and came to the man and said unto him, Art thou the man that spakest unto the woman? And he said, I am. Verse 12. And Manoah said, Now let thy words come to pass. How shall we order the child, and how shall we do unto him? Verse 13. And the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah, Of all that I said unto the woman, let her beware. Verse 14. She may not eat of anything that cometh of the vine, neither let her drink wine or strong drink, nor eat any unclean thing. All that I commanded her, let her observe. Verse 15. And Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, I pray thee, let us detain thee until we shall have made ready a kid for thee. Verse 16. And the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah, Though thou detain me, I will not eat of thy bread. And if thou wilt offer a burnt offering, thou must offer it unto the Lord. For Manoah knew not that he was an angel of the Lord. Verse 17. And Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, What is thy name? That when thy sayings come to pass, we may do thee honor. And the angel of the Lord said unto him, Why askest thou thus after my name, seeing it is a secret? Verse 19. So Manoah took a kid with a meat offering, and offered it upon a rock unto the Lord. And the angel did wondrously, and Manoah and his wife looked on. Verse 20. For it came to pass when the flame went up toward heaven from off the altar, the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame of the altar. And Manoah and his wife looked on it, and fell on their faces to the ground. Verse 21. But the angel of the Lord did no more appear to Manoah and to his wife. Then Manoah knew that he was an angel of the Lord. Verse 22. And Manoah said unto his wife, We shall surely die, because we have seen God. But his wife said unto him, If the Lord were pleased to kill us, he would not have received a burnt offering and a meat offering at our hands. Neither would he have showed us all these things, nor would as at this time have told us such things as thee. Verse 24. And the woman bare a son, and called his name Samson. And the child grew, and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move him at times in the camp of Dan, between Zorah and Eshtaol. Okay, that was a lot, right? Yeah, can you go? Yeah, that was a lot, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, again, that's a lot going on there. But, like I said, and sometimes when we read, what do we read? We just read it like what it is, right? Like, that's irrelevant. There's nothing to that. But there's a lot to that.
Mm-hmm.
And
because that's your foundation.
This is kind of where everything's starting to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's crazy because, again, the angel shows up and he lays down these rules.
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes to her husband and she's like, hey, I just saw someone from God and they told me that we were going to have a kid, right? And that I can't do this and this, right? And she kind of laid out the rules and he's like, what? And so he goes to the Lord and he prays, right? And he prays and he says, send this person again. Not knowing that was an angel, he thought it was just a messenger, right? And so the man appears again, the angel appears again while the woman's in the field. And so she runs to go get her husband. She's like, you remember that guy I was telling you about? Yeah, he's over there in the field. So she runs back, right, with her husband. And the husband asks, are you the one that she was telling me about? He's like, yeah, that's me. And so they ask, well, what do you need of us? What should we do so that this child can be born? And he tells them the same stuff, right? And again, I like what he says there. Let's see. It says it here. It's 11. Oh, no, 12. And Manoah said, now let thy words come to pass. How shall we order the child, and how shall we do unto him? Like, what do you need us to do? Mm-hmm. Right? Because I know you told my wife, but what do you need us to do? Is there anything else? Verse 13, and the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah, of all that I said unto the woman, let her beware. She may not eat of anything that cometh off the vine, neither let her drink wine or strong drink, nor eat any unclean thing. All that I commanded her, let her observe. Mm-hmm. And again, so he kind of repeats what he already told the wife. Like, I already told your wife, but I'm going to tell you again. And I like the way it says that there. All that I commanded her, let her observe. Mm-hmm. Let her see. Let her think about. Let her remember, right? And again, I like that because we have the things that we know. We have the things that God's already calling us to do. And the rules set out in front of us. And sometimes we don't think about it. We just go living our lives day to day and we lose it. But this is kind of an important thing because this is going to be the freedom for Israel, right? From captivity. And so they ask him, well, let us, it says detain thee, right? And so when I hear that, I think like they put him in handcuffs and they're like, get on the floor, right? And it's not really that, but like, stay with us. Stay with us, let us, what Reddit says here, make ready a kid for thee. And when it's talking about a kid, it's not talking about a kid. Like, it's talking about a goat or a lamb, right? Because that's what they call it. And so they were going to offer it up as a sacrifice. And also, too, to offer it for him to eat and stuff like that. They offered it for him to eat because they didn't know he was an angel. They still didn't see that, right? And that's kind of crazy, right? So you have this man that comes up to you and he's telling you all this stuff. Again, like we were talking about earlier, I know you see life this way and I know life has been like this for you, but God has different plans, right? And through that all, it's like, okay, this guy told us. But little they know that this guy's an angel sent from God, right? So not only there's, one thing that's like, wow, this is crazy. We're going to have a son. He's going to free Israel. wow, the person that told us this is an angel, right? So
Yeah.
like there's like more to it that, again, God has working behind the scenes that they don't know, they don't understand, and that happens to us a lot of the times. Like there's a lot of stuff that God's working in, a lot of things that are happening that in certain moments we don't understand why. In certain moments we don't see the full picture, right? There's like certain things that happen in y'all's life, the youth, that just seems like it's one of those things. But again, that's why it's really important for the prayer, and because God might be trying to show you something, and to not waste an opportunity to see it. And so yeah, right. So I guess, I don't know what, I kind of get lost on how I should explain things.
No, you're fine.
Why are you laughing at that?
Oh.
She's like, yeah, I kind of get lost on how I should explain things. But again, we can see that then they offer up the sacrifice, and they're finally revealed that this man was an angel, because he descends into the flames up to heaven. But right here, I just want to read this, verse 24. And the woman bare a son, and called his name Samson. And the child grew, and the Lord blessed him. Okay, that's important to think about, right? Verse 25. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move him at times in the camp of Dan, between Zorah and Eshtal. So now, and the Spirit of the Lord began to move. Right? I think that's pretty cool. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool to start thinking about. And I think that's pretty cool to start. Now the Spirit of the Lord starts moving.
Yeah.
Right? And to understand, again, like I said, in our lives, there's things that happen that we sometimes don't know why. But again, to pray about it, because that might be the Spirit of the Lord starting to move. And not to take things just for what they are and just like, okay, this is just life. This is just how life is. Again, there's no coincidence. God does things for a reason. But also, too, this life is, it's hard sometimes, like we were talking about last week, And so there has to be that discernment, and there has to be that connection with God, that we're asking God to reveal to us what he's trying to show us. And so we're going to go ahead and start chapter 14. Should we take a music break? Or should we go right into 14?
We can take a music break.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a song break. Yeah, what do you guys think? What are you guys feeling? What kind of song do you want to play? Felicity, you have any suggestions? I put her on the spot. She had no idea that I was going to ask her to play a song. But while you're thinking about that, we got, we got more emojis to do. Just, do you want to do the emojis?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'll do
you can do dads. Oh, okay, yeah. If you're going to do the comments, you have to show the emojis. And you can stop turning off the mic. I have it here.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Okay. So I'm sorry, guys, if I mess this up, but we got this. Okay. So from Gabriel Romero, we got a haircut emoji, heart, and then prayer, hands,
Yeah.
and then from Jennifer.
What does that mean?
I have no clue. I don't get
Is that
the
he
haircut.
likes your haircut?
I lost the haircut
or is that I
part.
need to get a haircut? Because I do need to get a haircut.
Yeah, I lost the
I do.
haircut part, but the
Did you get a
hearts-
haircut? I feel like
Yeah.
you got a haircut.
Me and my dad got a haircut today.
So that might be why he's saying love the haircut.
Probably.
Okay.
Heart and prayer emoji. And then from Jennifer Romero, we got God bless the youth.
Say mom.
Yeah, I should just say, my mom. God bless the youth. May God continue to guide and protect them. Prayer emojis.
No,
and
you have to do the hands though.
prayer emojis.
Yeah, prayer hands. But do you have anything?
Oh, I
Song?
just sent it to you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, just another one.
Oh, we're doing a Spanish one.
No.
Okay. Oh, okay. This is a good song right here, Felicity. I like this one. She sang "Give Me Jesus" by James Wilson. Felicity, that's a great song. Where did you hear that one?
Just popped
You
up.
just heard it up.
Mhm.
You just heard it. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and play this song. It's called "Give Me Jesus" by James Wilson. And again, this is gonna be a lot. The story of Samson. It's a lot, right? I think it's 3 chapters, maybe 4 chapters. So it's gonna be a lot of reading, but we're gonna try our best to break it down into pieces. Because, like I said, there's a lot to it. And I feel, and I thought it was really awesome. Again, there's no irrelevant word. Everything in here is here for a reason. And I think we can start seeing that from when, again, the rules that the angel lays out, they're not just like, hey, here are these rules, they're relevant for us not to focus on them. No. It's very important to focus on them. You start seeing where these things start coming into play. And there's even some stuff in chapter 14 that I love the way it's worded, because again, there's nothing irrelevant. God does everything for a reason. We might not see it in that moment, but God does everything for a reason. So we're going to go ahead and play the song. It's called Give Me Jesus, again, by James Wilson. And we'll be right back after this music break.
Lift it up in the room. Here we go. This world is not my home. I am just passing through. Earthly treasures soon will fade, but I found my hope in you. You are the one I want, you are the one I need. This world can have it all, it can take everything. So give me Jesus, give me Jesus, the one who brought me shame and took away my shame. Every one for me. This world is not my home. I am just passing through. Earthly treasures soon will fade, but I found my hope in you. You are the one. You are the one I want. You are the one I need. This world can have it all. It can take everything. But give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. The one who broke me shame and took away my shame. There is only one for me. You're all we want, Jesus. Can we lift our hands in this place? Oh God, we love you, Lord. We love you, Jesus. Oh, 'cause the only lasting thing is you. You are forever. You are forever. You are the one that I run to. You are my treasure. You are my treasure. Come on, anybody feel that way in the house tonight? Hallelujah. You are forever. Can we sing it, Jay? You are forever. You are the one that I run to. You are my treasure. Come on, lift it up in the room. Hey. Others may fail, but you remain. 'Cause you are my treasure. You are my treasure. Heaven and earth will pass away. You are forever. You are forever. Jesus, you are forever. Hey.
Wow. Honestly, that was a good song choice, Felicity. That was a great one. You're
Thank you very
welcome.
much.
No, thank you. That was a great one.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Plus, I didn't pick that song. But that's okay. But no, that was Give Me Jesus by James Wilson. And yeah. So we got some more comments during the songs. We had some really important comments here. I don't know, Tristan, do you want to... Okay. I don't know what you were saying there, but I'll go ahead and read it. It says, Gabby says, because when I asked the question, what were those emojis? I thought we were talking about Tristan's haircut, or that I needed a haircut. Again, I'm getting a haircut, but I wasn't sure what we were talking about. But we're actually talking about the story of Samson in emoji form. Because the haircut, can't cut your hair, love, don't know what that's about. Maybe that he loves the story of Samson, right? Yeah, I didn't think about that. Is your mic muted or are they on? Okay, I'm just checking. And then she also says, LOL. God bless you all. And then we have Janelle that says, God bless you guys. And she also sent this this message in, and I thought it was really cool. She kind of broke down the Nazarite, right?
Oh,
She breaks
yeah,
that
the
down.
meaning.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
An Israelite constructed to the service of God under vows to abstain from alcohol, let the hair grow, and avoid defilement by contact with corpses.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty interesting. And so, again, like we were talking about, we'll go ahead and just do a quick recap of 13, just kind of like a summary of it. Why are you laughing? Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. He's laughing at I'm a very expressive person with my hands. And so, yes. And so, 13 was, again, the angel shows up to the family, to the wife, who could not bear children. Again, says that you're going to. But here are the conditions. Here are the things that, you need to do in order for that to make sure, in order for this to be, a set deal, right? Pretty much. And also the conditions for Samson, as he grows up, what he's not supposed to do. And, again, with his hair. The hair is the one that everybody knows about, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't cut the hair. Everybody knows about that one. And so, again, they didn't know that this man was an angel. They still couldn't see that. They thought he was just a messenger of God. It's revealed to him that he was an angel.
Mm-hmm.
And then Samson's born. And this is all in 13, right? And it's kind of crazy that they could fit all this in just one chapter. And then Samson's born, and the Spirit of the Lord began to move him at times in the camp of Dan between Zorah and Eshtaol. That's in verse 25. So we're going to go ahead and get it started with verse 1 of chapter 14. It says, and Samson went down. Okay, this is where I think things start really moving, right? And you can kind of start seeing things. And so verse 1 says, and Samson went down to Timnath and saw a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. Again, that's their captors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people that have taken them captive and everything. What? No, okay. Those are the people that have taken him captive and everything. And so he goes down to this village and he sees one of the women that he likes. And he came up and told his father and his mother and said, I have seen a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. Now, therefore, get her for me to wife. All right. Verse 3. Then his father and his mother said unto him, is there never among the daughters of all thy brethren, or among all thy people, that thou goest to take a wife, the uncircumcised Philistines? And Samson said unto his father, get her for me, for she pleaseth me well. Verse 4. But his father and his mother knew not that it was... Okay, I think this is like I was telling y'all. I'm going to go ahead and read it. I don't know why I interrupt myself.
Okay.
I'll get it. I do the hand things. Okay. But his father and his... Verse 4. But his father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord, that he saw an occasion against the Philistines. For at that time the Philistines had dominion over Israel. Again, like I said, we'll go ahead and kind of break this part down. So he's in that village. And while he's in that village, he sees a woman. that he thinks is beautiful, right? And so he tells his family, his mom and his dad, hey, I saw this woman here, and she's one of the Philistines' daughters. I want her to be my wife. And then they ask, why do you have to pick her, right? Can't you pick like someone that's, an Israelite, someone that, is a clean person? And that's what they consider him, right? The clean. And then he says, that thou goest to take a wife of the uncircumcised Philistines. And Samson said unto his father, get her for me, for she pleaseth me well. No, he says, no, I want that one. Go get me that one. And so verse 4, it says, but his father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord. And I think that's pretty interesting. Because like I said, like I was talking about before, sometimes we don't know why things happen. Sometimes, again, things just happen and we take it for what it is. And like I said, the way we would read the word, that's how we would read it, right? We just read it just to read it. And right here, I like how it says that. God had something planned. God had something behind the scenes that they didn't know about, right? And they asked him the question, like, why do you want this woman? Because they didn't understand that, again, God had something going on underneath the scenes.
Yeah.
God had something, he had something against the Philistines, right? Because, again, the Israelites are God's people. They were that was his people. Those were his. And so verse 4, it says, but his father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord that he sought an occasion against the Philistines. For at that time the Philistines had dominion over Israel. They were still rulers over Israel. Verse 5, then went Samson down, his father and his mother, to Timnath, and came to the vineyards of Timnath. And behold, a young lion roared against him. And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and he rent him as he would have rent a kid. He had nothing in his hand, but he told not his father or his mother what he had done. Verse 7, and he went down and talked with the woman, and she pleased Samson well. Verse 8, and after a time he returned to take her. And he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion, and behold, there was a swarm of bees and honey in the carcass of the lion. And he took thereof in his hands, and went on eating, and came to his father and mother, and he gave them, and they did eat. But he told them not that he had taken the honey out of the carcass of the lion. So his father went down unto the woman, and Samson made there a feast, for so used the young men to do. So we'll go ahead and stop there. So again, he finds this woman that he wants to marry. And so they go to that village to go get her, right? And so on their way over there, a lion shows up. And again, it's like all this stuff starts happening for a reason. And are there any coincidences? Say it in the mic, Tristan.
No.
Thank you. No. But again, there's no coincidences, right? And so these things aren't just happening to happen. And so, again, that's what it says in verse 4. The family didn't know that God had something planned, right? And sometimes, I just think that's pretty awesome for us. Again, like,
Yeah.
you see the mom already. She already has this, like,
Set.
this is how my life is going to be. It gets turned over. It's like, nope, you're actually going to have a kid. This is where your life's going to go, right? And they're still like, okay, I guess our life is taking a little detour. And then from there, it changes even more, right? And it's like, why don't you want one of the Israelite, women? And it's like, they don't understand that God has something planned. And like I said, a lot of the times we don't understand that God has things working behind the scenes that we don't see. And sometimes we don't catch a lot of those things that God is trying to work on. And so anyways, they go to this town. And when they're there at that town, yes.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I wasn't sure if you were trying to say something.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, no. It's okay. I feel like we're just so awkward.
Yeah.
You guys can clip this stuff, and it'd be pretty good content for, like, church Instagram. Just the awkwardness of it,
Yeah.
right? I feel like that would work. So they go to this town, and a lion shows up, right? And it says that Samson, what's the word that it uses here? That Samson rent the lion, right? So he kills the lion, right? It says just as easy as he would do it to a lamb. Like, so there's no struggle here. It was pretty easy for Samson. It said that he had nothing
in his hands.
No weapons, no nothing to do it. And so then he goes to the one that he wants to be his wife. It says that he talks to her and that, you know, everything goes smooth. He's like, man, I like this girl. So they end up going back. Before they leave, he looks at the lion and there is
a honeycomb.
Yeah, a honeycomb in the belly of the
beehive,
lion.
sorry.
A beehive, yeah. Well, a beehive's
Yeah.
a honeycomb, right? And so it has honey there. And so he grabs the honey and he starts eating it. And then he goes home. And it's again crazy because these little details, they don't seem like they're anything, right? Just seems like it's just kind of part of the story. It's like, that's weird, right? Why is that happening? But this has a part to do with the whole thing, right? And it's so again, just keep in mind this stuff, okay? And so then they get back to their house and he gives some to his father and his mother. But he, again, a key part here, verse 4, it says, verse 4 of chapter 14, it says, but his father and his mother knew not, okay, not that one. Where are we at? Sorry, I lose myself sometimes. And it says, so...
10.
Yeah, I think it's actually verse 9. And it says, and he took thereof in his hands. He took the honeycomb, okay, like what he was saying, and because he was eating the honey, and went on eating, and came to his father and his mother, and he gave them, and they did eat. But he told not them that he had taken the honey out of the carcass of the lion. So he just gave them the honey. He didn't tell where it came from. Again, a little part of the story is just like, okay, I don't know why it's there. But again, there's no irrelevant scripture. Everything's here for a reason. And so then they made a feast. Verse 12. And Samson said unto them, I will now... Oh, actually verse 11. And it came to pass when they saw him, that they brought 30 companions to be with him. Verse 12. And Samson said unto them, I will now put forth a riddle unto you. If ye can certainly declare it me within the 7 days of the feast, and find it out, then I will give you 30 sheets and 30 change of garments. Verse 13. But if ye cannot declare it me, then shall ye give me 30 sheets and 30 changes of garments. And they said unto him, Put forth thy riddle, that we may hear it. And he said unto them, Out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweetness. And they could not in 3 days expound the riddle. They couldn't figure it out. Verse 15. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they said unto Samson's wife, Entice thy husband, that he may declare unto us the riddle, lest we burn thee and thy father's house with fire. Have ye called us to take that we have? Is it not so? All right, so I think we go every five verses, and we'll go ahead and kind of break it down because there's some stuff in here. So again, they bring the wife back, right, and they have a party. It's party time, right? And it says 7 days that there's going to be a 7-day long party. Okay, and so that there's people there, and so he gives this riddle out to the people. Again, nothing happens for what? Everything happens for a reason. Sorry, I don't know what I was trying to say there. Everything happens for a reason, right? Yeah, the face, yeah. Everything happens for a reason. And so he gives this riddle out, right? And it's like, where does this riddle come from? And the riddle was, let's see. It says, out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweetness. And they could not in 3 days expound the riddle. They couldn't figure it out, right? And it's like, that's kind of a random riddle, right? But again, he just saw this thing that was kind of random, right? There's a lion that he kills. And then there's a honeycomb, a beehive in the lion now, right? And so now this thing's kind of adding up. And so now he uses that towards the riddle, right? Again, something that God had, again, there's no coincidence. These things are happening. And so now that gives him the riddle. And so now that they're trying to figure it out, he puts something on the line, right? He's like, I'm going to give you this if you figure it out. But if you don't figure it out, you give the same to me. And so they're trying to figure it out, and they can't figure it out. It says 3 days, they still haven't even begun to, like, what does this even mean? So then they go to his wife, and they threaten her, right? And they say, like, you need to get the answer from him. And if not, we're going to burn you and your dad in the house, right? Like, you need to give us this answer. So all this, that's kind of what's going on right now, right? And so verse 16, and Samson's wife wept before him. So after they already threatened her, she goes to Samson, and Samson's wife wept before him and said, thou dost but hate me and lovest me not. Thou hast put forth a riddle unto the children of my people, okay, the Philistines, and hast not told it me. And he said unto her, behold, I have not told it my father nor my mother, and shall I tell it thee? You remember when he gives the honey to his mom and his dad? He doesn't tell him where it comes from, right? So this riddle's out there. No one knows what he's talking about. And that's just kind of him. And she's like going to him, she's crying. She's like, do you not love me? Do you not? Why can't you tell me this? You give this riddle to my family. These are my people, and you don't want to tell me. He's like, I haven't even told my parents what this riddle means, right? And verse 17. And she wept before him the 7 days. For 7 days she weeps, while their feast lasted. And it came to pass on the 7th day that he told her. This is interesting, because she lay sore upon him. Because it just became... What does sore mean? Brandon, you've been doing practices in the morning. What does sore mean, Brandon?
Tired.
You're tired, right? What is it that you feel when you're sore? Right? How do you define that?
Your body's tired.
Your body's tired. You're tired. So
stop.
you just want to stop. Exactly.
Yeah.
You just So it says that he told her because she lay sore upon him. Right? So he's at a point to where just from her crying, just from her just weeping and not stopping and asking him, it made him sore. It was just too much. Like, probably not physically like his muscle, but he was just tired of it, right? And so, and it says, and she told the people the riddle. And she told the riddle to the children of her people. Okay? So he tells it. He gives it. And he's like, here's what it is. And right away, she goes and she tells the people. Again, she was threatened that she's going to die and her father's going to die. And the house, everything that he owns is gone. Right? Verse 18. And the men of the city said unto him on the 7th day, the last day of the party, before the sun went down, what is sweeter than honey? And what is stronger than a lion? And he said unto them, if ye had not plowed with... What is that word there? Because I don't want to say that word wrong. Go ahead and look that up. Because I want to say heifer. But that might not be right. But right, so they come to him and they say, what is sweeter than honey? It is heifer.
Female cow.
Yeah, okay, I was just making sure. And he said unto them, if ye had not plowed with my heifer, ye had not found out my riddle. Right? If you... Because he knows where... He only told one person, right? And so he knows where this is coming from. He's like, you know what? If you didn't bug her about it, you would never have found this out. Right? And so, again, like it said, they came to him and they said, what is sweeter than honey? And what is stronger than a lion? And he said unto them, if ye had not plowed my heifer, ye had not found out my riddle. So he's upset. He's upset about this, right? I mean, I'm assuming he's upset if he's considering her a heifer, right? I mean,
that's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, right? Yeah. He's pretty upset, right? And so, verse 19. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon, and slew 30 men of them, and took their spoil, and gave change of garments unto them which expounded the riddle. And his anger was kindled, and he went up to his father's house. All right? So they come to him, the people at the party, the ones that he told the riddle to, and they say, this is what it was, right?
Mhm.
What's sweeter than honey? What's stronger than a lion? He's like, you guys got it from her. And that made him angry. So then he went to another village of the Philistines, and he killed 30 men. 30 men, okay? And he said, and slew the 30 men and took their spoil and gave change of garments. That's what the wager was, right? If you can't figure out this riddle, I'll give you these garments. I'll give you this. But if you guys do figure it out, if you guys figure it out, I'll give this to you. If you guys don't figure it out, it's what you give to me. So they figure it out, and so now it's got to come from his pocket. But he's mad. So he goes and kills 30 men and takes it from them. And what he took from them, from the people that he just killed, he gives to them. Because he's mad, right? And verse 19 again. So, and the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon and slew 30 men of them, and took their spoil and gave change of garments unto them, which expounded the riddle. And his anger was kindled, and he went up to his father's house. Verse 20. But Samson's wife was given to his companion, whom he had used as his friend. Pay attention to that, right? Again, everything happens for what? A reason, right? So all these little key things that are going on, they threaten her. What happens? She begs him and she bothers him, and she needs to get this out because she's fearing for the life of her life and her father, right? And so she gets this out of him. Again, he goes and he kills these people. And then he leaves. He goes back to his father's house. But his wife, again, it says here, was given to his companion, whom he had used as a friend, right? So now the dad gives the wife to someone else. Not Samson anymore, to someone else, right? We're going to go ahead and start chapter 15, verse 1. But it came to pass within a while after, in the time of wheat harvest, that Samson visited his wife with a kid. And he said, I will go into my wife into the chamber. But her father would not suffer him to go in. Verse 2. Verse 2. And her father said, I verily thought that thou hast utterly hated her. Right? Therefore I gave her to thy companion. Is not her younger sister fairer than she? Take her, I pray thee, instead of her. And Samson said concerning them, Now shall I be more blameless than the Philistines, though I do them a displeasure. Verse 4. And Samson went and caught 300 foxes, and took firebrands, and turned tail to tail, and put a firebrand in the midst between two tails. And when he had set the brands on fire, he let them go into the standing corn of the Philistines, and burnt up both the shocks and also the standing corn with the vineyards and olives. We'll go ahead and stop there, okay? What do you think?
I was gonna say we should stop there.
Yeah.
and recap.
Okay. Well, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are you getting? Go ahead and get the recap.
No, yeah. So we're already kind of saying that, Samson's mad. He leaves on a hiatus to go kill people, and he comes back to his father's house, and then he comes back to get his wife, and the father has given her to his friend, right? So again, we already kind of see that. This is how I see it, is that we start seeing that Samson has some anger issues here. Because he gets mad at his wife, he calls her a cow, and then he goes and kills people. Because, again, he's angry, right?
Yeah.
And so he kills people and he gives them
But again, the crazy thing is, right, we can, again, it's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And exactly what you said there, let me see. What does it say at, and it's in 19. So verse 18, that's where Samson is telling the people that figured out the riddle, like, hey, again, pay attention to this. He's telling the people in the riddle, like, if you guys didn't talk to the heifer, right?
Yeah.
He says like that, you guys would never have found this out. So after that, on 19 it says, and the Spirit of the Lord came upon him.
Mm-hmm.
And he went down to Ashkelon and slew 30 men of them, and took their spoil and gave change. And even before that, in verse 4 of chapter 14, but his father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Okay. And he sought an occasion against the Philistines. For at the time, the Philistines had dominion over Israel. Again, it says it's super clear here. But his father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord.
Mhm.
All of this is of
No, yeah.
who?
The Lord.
The Lord, right? And so again, it says there in 19, and the Spirit of the Lord came upon him.
Mhm.
So again, all this stuff is happening.
Mhm.
Why? Because God
Had planned
is
it.
having these plans, right? And it's
Yes.
crazy that you see that
Mhm.
that this stuff is starting to kick in again. There, the whole lion and the honeycomb in the stomach of the lion. What is that, right?
No,
And it's
yeah.
like, just
Who's
for
gonna
him to
get
be
that?
able to get this riddle
Mhm.
where it came from, it's like, what? This is crazy. And excuse me. It's again, you see that God is putting these things in place, right? And it causes Samson to be angry. Okay, and then God's like, okay, now that we have him at this point,
Mhm.
now I have something that I'm trying to accomplish. Again, he's a
Yeah,
judge.
and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, we already see that he has the stages of like anger, and God uses him in his anger, right?
Mhm.
Because this is where he's at his most, I would say, most vulnerable. Because you're angrier at that time.
Mhm.
So God deems him, okay, he's at his vulnerable. Let's use this, right? And then, but I also see it as like the father. Again, the father was scared. I mean, you got this guy who
Yeah, and
went
he
and
said,
killed 30
"Surely
people, and so he goes,
had
surely
hated
I
her."
thought you hated her.
Yeah, I mean, you got her, gal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so I gave her to your friend.
Yeah.
Again, and he tries to make this better with, oh, here's her sister.
Yeah.
Isn't she prettier than
Yeah,
her?
come on, this is the way
Take
to go.
her. But again, Samson goes ahead and doesn't want her
Mhm.
and blames the Philistines,
Mhm.
right? And so, again, here goes Samson again. He catches these foxes and he's like, okay, it's time to get my revenge, right?
Yeah.
It's time to pay him back for what they did.
Mhm.
And he lights them on fire and he sets them in the grain, the vineyards, and the olive oil.
Yeah, where the olives are too.
Yeah. And again, back in these times, this was precious, right?
Yeah.
This was precious. That's people's
Money. That's
money.
people's
That's people's lives right there,
food.
right?
Yes.
So he hit him where it hurts.
Yeah.
And you'll kind of see what the Philistines do now.
Yeah, after that.
In
But again, it's
verse
crazy
6.
though, right? So it's like, again, I think that's kind of crazy. So he's already very upset that he lost his bet.
Mm-hmm.
He had this wager, and he's not happy about this. And through that, the Spirit of the Lord fell upon him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And again, God gets him to this point, or he has to get to this point, right,
Mhm.
of whatever it is. Again, I'm not saying that we have to get angry, right? I'm not.
No, yeah.
I'm not trying to say something that it might sound like I'm trying to say, right? But again, there's certain things that happen in life.
So God needs to get you to that point.
Yeah. And maybe not just the point of anger, right? And I'm not saying
No,
that.
but to any point.
Yeah.
And we'll see God get Samson to another point
Yeah.
again at the end of the story.
Yeah, you're gonna have to wait for that one.
But you'll see again that God gets him to another point where, again, he's broken down and everything, and God uses him again, right?
Yeah.
So we're seeing throughout the story of how God's bringing him to points.
Mm-hmm. Now,
using
not
him.
only that, we gotta understand this isn't for Samson.
Mm-hmm.
Samson is being used by God.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not just for Samson. This is for the people of Israel. Okay? Now
Yeah.
this is crazy, okay? Now this is crazy, so everybody buckle up right now. But sometimes things happen that are out of our control.
Mm-hmm.
But because God is permitting it. Because God is allowing these things to happen. For us, let's just say we see this crazy guy and he lights a field on fire and we're just like, what's he doing? The crops, right?
Yeah.
He just light the film on fire. He lights fox on fire.
he does some like crazy stuff. It's like, right? He knows it's gonna spread.
It's really smart.
Yeah, the foxes, as soon as he lets them go, they're gone because they got fire on their tails.
And they're fast.
Yeah, they're fast. Exactly. So they're spreading now. And so, like, we see this guy, and he's like, what's this crazy guy doing? Again. And we have no idea that, well, this stuff is all happening so that we can be free. Now, I'm not saying that the crazy people out there, that's for us. Okay, again, don't get lost in what I'm trying to say here. But again, a lot of the times, things happen that, again, God is using for us. Things happen in order for us to receive freedom. Things happen in order for us to have awakening sometimes, for us to realize certain things. Again, he's one of the judges. He's one of the people that God's using, again, not for him, not to save Samson, but to save the people of Israel. Okay? And so you can see that this man that has some kind of visual problems. Right?
Yeah.
He's got these anger problems. God is going to take him to this point to free the people of Israel. Right? And it's kind of weird. It's just one of those things, right? It's just like, again, I'm not saying that the people with the anger issues, you're going to, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we got to have anger issues. And I'm not saying that the crazy people, no, I'm not, again, there's a fine line here. But I'm saying that, what were we talking about last time? Again, life is wonderful, right? And God works in mysterious ways.
Yes.
Again, that video, at the end of the video, my grandpa says, God's not going to work in ways that you think he's going to work. He works in mysterious ways. Not the way we think it's going to go, but the way he knows it needs to go. Right? And so, again, us being aware of that. Things happen so that we can be to a certain point that, God is trying to take us to a certain point. God is trying to bring something out of us. You remember how I was telling you about that day? This was like maybe 3 to 4 episodes ago. This was a while back, but I remember it because it happened to me. But there was that time, that one episode, that I was just not having a good day. And it was just one of those really tough ones, and there was a lot of stuff that was going on throughout the day, but I saw the guy at Schlotsky's, and he was handing out the bread. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, I've been having a terrible day just because of the heat, just because of different things that was going on. But everything happened in that day to get me to a point.
Yeah.
To where God can talk to me. God has me at a broken place to where I can hear him. And to where I can lean on him. And to where, God willing, he can use me. Right? And everything happens for a reason. And it's very important. Again, this is an amazing story to understand that things happen for a reason. God, like I said, God does not do things just to do things. God is not just, he doesn't say things just to say things. If he says something, there's authority behind what he says, and there's a purpose behind what he says, right? He didn't just make the stars to make them. It says that he made the stars to glorify him, right? And so when you think about that, the stars, we look up and like, that's real pretty. Like, wow, interesting. But God made that to glorify him, not just for just some little purpose. God, you see a beautiful sunset, it's like, wow, that's real nice. That's because God is trying to show his glory. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a purpose for everything, right? And that's very important for us to realize that there is a purpose for everything. Again, and we need to make sure that everything that happens in our lives, to check, God, what is the reason for this? If something's going wrong, God, what is the reason for this? If something is going right, God, what is the reason for this? Because sometimes when you're on the lowest part of the valley, right, and you're at your lowest of your lows, you're like, God, help me, God. I see why I'm here. But sometimes when we're on the top of the mountains, it says God is the same on the top of the mountains and in the lowest of the valleys, right? He's the same God, yesterday, today, and forever. And the highs and the lows, he's the same. But when we're on the top of the mountain, we're just like, life is good. Like, just living life, right? We're enjoying life. But when we were in the lowest of the valleys, we were, God, we need you. God, God, please help us. Why aren't we like that at the top of the mountain? Why are we only like that at the bottom of the valley? Right? And again, we need to be aware as people that we are staying at this point of continuing to seek God, continuing to bring our best to God, because everything happens for a reason. Again, the good times happen for a reason. The bad times happen for a reason. And again, this story is something that you really see that stuff come to life.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys want to take a music break before we go? We can kind of dig in. We're going to stop at 8:30, so we can kind of dig into a little bit of this next chapter after. But you guys want to take a music break?
Yeah, we can take
Tristan
a music
sent a song, so we're going to go ahead and play this song. But before we do that, Tristan, you want to go ahead and start with the comments?
Get 'em up. Okay. Where did we leave off?
We left off with Janelle's,
Okay.
and Gabby says that Samson fell in love.
Yeah. So, yeah, we have the whole Gabby. Gabby said,
Samson,
Samson fell in love a lot. LOL. I was
hence the heart.
hence the heart. Then we have Margie. Hi G, good to see you. You make a good teacher. What a blessing you are to the kids and church and grown-ups too. And then that's pretty much it.
That was pretty much it for that one.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Aunt Libby sent a text, and she says, God bless y'all. Thank you for giving to the Lord. Love you all. So we're going to go ahead and play this song. You want to play this one, Joseph?
Yeah, that's.
Are you sure you want to play this one?
It's technically what you were talking about.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think you're right on that one. So we're going to go ahead and play the song. I don't think anybody knows this song. But if you do, here it is. Just kidding. Pretty much everybody knows this song. It's So Will I by Hillsong United. So right after this, we'll go ahead and get right back into it before it ends. Amen.
God of creation, there at the start, before the beginning of time. With no point of reference, you spoke to the dark and fleshed out the wonder of life. And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born. In the vapor of your breath, the planets form. And if the stars were made to worship, so will I can see your heart in everything you make. Every burning star, a signal fire of grace. And if creation sings your praises, so will I. God of your promise, you don't speak in vain, no syllable empty or void. For once you have spoken, all nature and science follow the sound of your voice. When as you speak, 100 billion creatures catch your breath, evolving in pursuit of what you said. And if it all reveals your nature so alive, I can see your heart in everything you say. chase down my heart through all of my failure and pride. On a hill you created, the light of the world, abandoned in darkness to die. And as you speak, 100 billion failures disappear. Well, you lost your life so I could find it here. And if you left the grave behind you so alive, I can see your heart and everything you've done. Every part designed in a work of art called love. If you gladly chose surrender, so will I can see your heart a billion different ways. Every precious one, a child you died to save. And if you gave your life to love them, so will I. Like you would again 100 billion times. But what measure could amount to your desire? You're the one who never leaves the one behind.
That was a pretty solid song, Tristan. Good job. Good recommendation. I give you that one. That was pretty good. That was pretty solid, man. That was probably, again, like I said, a song that you guys probably haven't heard. So Will I by Hillsong United. Really good one. Brand new. Just came to the market last week. Very good. I'm just kidding. So again, like we left off, Samson's man. But again, we can see that things are happening for reasons that, again, sometimes, I mean, obviously the family doesn't know what's going on, right? But God's doing something. God's doing something behind the scenes. God's doing something regardless. And again, I think that's something important for us to keep in mind. So we left off there on 5. Fussy, I don't know if you want to read that real quick.
Yes. Chapter 5?
No, verse 5.
Okay. And when he had set the torches on fire, he let the foxes go into the standing grain of the Philistines, and burned up both stalks.
Yeah, shocks.
Or was it? And standing grain, as well as the vineyards and the olive groves.
Yeah. And so again, he's mad.
Mm-hmm.
He grabs the foxes.
He burns up something that's priceless to them. Again,
exactly.
This is what
very
they're...
important.
So this is the heart of them. And so he's like, come on, aim for that. And
yeah. I know this is going to make him mad,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because he's already mad. Again, the anger issues, right? Or these things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes ahead and, again,
Lights them on fire.
Like Fussy said, attacks something very important to them.
Mm-hmm.
Something that they do need. Verse 6, we can go ahead and start. It says, Then the Philistines said, Who hath done this? And they answered, Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite,
Mm-hmm.
because he had taken his wife and given her to his companion. All right, so they rat on him. They said, Samson. And this is why. Because the Timnite, the guy that they're referring to, he gave Samson's wife to one of the companions. And it says, where were we? 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Philistines came up and burnt her and her father with fire. So, again, he attacked something that was very
Vulnerable.
vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
and very important to them.
So they fire back.
Yeah, and so they're upset, right? Again, that's their life.
Mhm.
That is, things that they're working hard for, and Samson attacks it, and so they're upset, and so they go ahead and retaliate, like Felicity was saying. And the Philistines came up and burnt her and her father with fire. So they're upset with them. They're upset with the dad. Why would you do this? Why would you make this man do this? And they're upset with Samson. And they know that this is going to upset him too. Verse 7. And Samson said unto them, Though ye have done this, yet will I be avenged of you. And after that I will cease. Again, now Samson catches where Samson finds out about this. Doesn't make him any happier. And so he makes a vow that I'm going to avenge, my wife and her father. And I'm not going to stop till I've, accomplished what I want to do. Verse 8. And he smote them hip and thigh with a great slaughter. And he went down and dwelt in the top of the rock Etam. Then the Philistines went up and pitched in Judah and spread themselves in Leah. Again, that was real quick, right? It was just there in verse 8. And he smote them hip and thigh with a great slaughter. Go ahead and look up the definition of slaughter. Okay. Again, it says it in little quick words, right? Verse 8. But what? Yes, go ahead. It's on though. You had to leave it.
Oh,
Tristan,
well, it's just a
if
question.
It's not on, Tristan.
No, well, it's just
we're
a
talking
question.
to dead air, and they're gonna be like, "Who's he talking to?"
Yeah, but it was just a question toward you.
Oh yes.
Would
I do so many hand motions?
No.
Oh.
Did they kill the wife and the father, or did they just?
Yeah, it
burn?
sounds like they killed him. Yes.
Yeah,
They killed him. They burned him. Yeah, and so he's upset with that, and so again, just in verse 8, and he smote them hip and thigh with a great slaughter. Again, to understand what that is, go ahead.
So slaughter has different meanings, but I guess towards the one we're going to kill in a bloody or violent manner, or to kill in a large number, to defeat or demolish completely.
Okay, now again, I know that this is kind of like, this is nothing light, okay? Again, like I said, we're reading it as a book, as what it is, but understand that, again, this is real, and that there was that's a very harsh way to say that. There are killings, right? There are murders, there are things that happen, but the way they define this as a slaughter, this is very, very gruesome. And they're trying to paint a picture here of what Samson did.
Yeah, because you go back on, like, when he first killed the 30 men, they said killed.
Yeah.
He killed. But this is different.
This one, he's not
slaughtered.
he's not holding back. Again, like I said, everything happens for
a reason.
A reason. Good job. Again, they're in captivity underneath who? The Philistines, right? People that, God is already fed up about them being captive. And so God wants to free them now. So now all this stuff is happening. And so again, like that definition, like I said, this is a very gruesome thing for what it is. And that's why they use that word. And just to get a little more context of what's going on here, again, this is not just a killing. This is he's not holding back on this. And so, again, after he does that, it says, and he went down and dwelt in the top of the rock Etam. Verse 9. Then the Philistines went up and pitched in Judah, and spread themselves in Leah. And the men of Judah said, Why are ye come up against us? And they answered, To bind Samson. Are we come up? This is why. This is why we're here. So, again, they go, the Philistines, after all this, again, this is a slaughter. That's what it says. This is gruesome. This is crazy. This is, very brutal. Yes, exactly. So now they go and pitch their tents. Now they're starting to move because now, they're having enough of Samson.
Yeah.
Right now he's already burned their crops. Now he just had this this crazy thing that happened. Again, I don't want to touch too much onto it because, again, it's one of those things that's like, okay, this is real. This is like, and so now they pitched in Judah and spread themselves in Leah. That's what it says, right? And so in Judah, again, a town, and the men of Judah, the people from that town said, why are ye come up against us? Why are you here? And they answered, to bind Samson are we come up, to do to him as he hath done to us. Okay? This is one man. Okay? And so, yes. And so these people, the Philistines, are here. And they're like, again, the people from Judah, they're like, why are you here? Right? And the Philistines tell him, we're here to get Samson. We're here to capture him. And we're going to do we're going to do to him what he's done to us. And he's already done some pretty crazy stuff to him.
Yeah.
This is one man again. And so, verse 11, then 3,000 men of Judah went to the top of the rock Etam and said to Samson, knowest thou not that the Philistines are rulers over us? What is this that thou hast done unto us? And he said unto them, as they did unto me, so have I done unto them. Okay, while I'm reading this, I just like, honestly, I get lost in how amazing God is. And it's like, whoa, what do you mean? I'm going to read this again. Then please pay attention to everything that we've been talking about and to everything we're talking about now. Then 3,000 men of Judah, the people of Judah are Israelites. Those are Samson's people. So again, we have Israelites who are captive of the Philistines. 3,000 men of Judah, 3,000 men, went to the top of the rock of Etam and said to Samson, that's where Samson was, knowest thou not that the Philistines are rulers over us? Don't you know that the people that you're picking a fight with are the people that are rulers over us? It said God delivered the Israelites to the Philistines. Okay. What is this that thou hast done unto us? What have you done? What are you doing to us? 3,000 men. Again, keep that in mind. 3,000 men. No. But I'm just saying that's a lot of people. Okay? I don't think I've ever seen... Okay, I probably have. But to think in the context of 3,000 people, we don't... Have you ever seen 3,000 people together in one place? I mean, you probably have at one point in your life. You have. But that's a lot of people. Okay? 3,000 people. His people. And they're saying, what are you doing? Right? Don't you know that the Philistines are the rulers over us? What have you done to us? They're asking, why have you done this to us? And he said unto them, as they did unto me, so I have done unto them. Exactly what we were talking about earlier. Things happen, right? And we're like, why does this have to happen? Again, these are the Israelites. And the people that they've been under captivity, again, they're like, why have you done this? Why have you turned them against us now? Don't you know who they are? 3,000 people didn't see what God was doing. Is what I'm trying to get at. 3,000 of God's people didn't see what God was doing. I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? So you start off, nothing is a coincidence. Nothing happens for a reason. You start off by seeing the parents. And they don't know why this is happening. They don't know why he wants to marry a Philistine. God knows, right? And then you start seeing now 3,000 people don't know why this is happening.
No, yeah, and it's crazy to think because, Samson was here as their judge. And they know what a judge is. They've had him, right? They've had, 12 judges already? And so they know what a judge is. They know that this is the person God has sent for them to be delivered from the Philistines, right? And yet they're still over here questioning him. Why have you done this? You know that there are captors or they captured us, right? They rule over us. And yet they're still, like you're saying, they still can't see this plan of how God's using Samson.
And of course, I would be very understanding of how can you see that in this? And it's exactly what we were talking about even in the past services of things happen, right, in life, like the things at the schools, the shootings and stuff like that. And was like, how can this happen? What is going on? And I'm not saying that those are good things. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying, again, what is it taking for us to realize certain things that God might be trying to show us? What does it take for us to realize what God's trying to show us? That's why I was saying, in the lowest of the valleys, in the highest of the mountains, what do we see? Again, when you're at your lowest, you're like, God, please help me, please save me. But when you're on the top of the mountain, the way you talk is completely different. It's no longer needing God. I'm okay. Life has been good. I've been making it on my own. Everything's going good. Then our gratification isn't there anymore, right? And I
think that's what the Israelites are doing now, right? They're not seeing what God is placing for them. Again, they even say it in the beginning. The Israelites are now doing what they see fit in their own eye, right?
Yeah, they're doing what they want.
Yeah, and again, like you're saying, they think everything's good for them, right?
Yeah.
They're leaving the Philistines alone. They're doing what they're
Don't
telling
mess
them.
with them. They're not gonna mess with us.
Yeah, and like we're just gonna follow their ways. We're gonna follow their idols.
Exactly.
And this is why Samson's like, again, God uses Samson, to kind of corrupt this little thing that they're doing. So now
he's throwing a stick. You know when you see the people riding a bike, and you throw the broomstick, and it's like, wham, it sends them like off the bike, right? That's exactly what's going on. It's like they're living this calm life, and how crazy is that? Again, they're living this life that's not a life that they were called to live. These were God's people, set apart. He made a promise to Abraham. This was set apart, a nation that was on its own going to be stronger than any other nation, and they had started letting God down. So God gives them up, right? God wants to punish them now. God wants to make them, can't believe you guys are, again, taking on these idols that, I'm your God, right? And now they're comfortable with it. Again, before we used to read this book as, strong man angry, right? Like Tristan was saying, building come down, people die, right? But why though? Nothing happens just to happen. It's not coincidence. It's not for anything, but it's because God is trying to show something. Again, and 3,000. Why does it say that? Why does it say 3,000? Why couldn't it just be 20 guys? Why couldn't it have 20 guys just got up and said, hey, why are you doing this? Because God is trying to make a point here. 3,000 people don't see it. Not just 20 people, 3,000. God is trying to show something. Again, nothing happens. Everything happens for a reason, right? Nothing's a coincidence. So then God sends 3,000 people up there. And that's what's written. For us to see that, not just 20 people. It's not just this little deal. 3,000 people don't know what's going on. Yeah. No, like you said, probably, right? That's such a big number. So many people go up because they don't know what's going on. And verse 12. And they said unto him, we are come down to bind thee, that we may deliver thee into the hand of the Philistines. And Samson said unto them, swear unto me that ye will not fall upon me yourselves.
And that's just so crazy to think. Again, going back to this was going to be their deliverance. And they're so corrupt in their own eyes that they're like, well, sorry, we're gonna have to arrest you basically and deliver you to your enemy right now.
Problems.
Yeah,
you're causing problems.
And again,
but this shows them, who are these people? God's people. God pulled them out of Egypt. God, and that's the crazy thing. Again, we are God's people, right? God has done so many things for us. Again, from the smallest thing of just waking us up. And it's funny how I said that, right? And I hear myself say that, the smallest thing. But is that the smallest thing? because we're alive right now. And that is not a small thing whatsoever. That is a blessing from God. And so that's not a small thing whatsoever. So God keeps us awake. God keeps us alive. And what do?
Yeah.
It means nothing to us at times. God pulled this people out of Egypt, out of captivity. God parted seas. God had manna falling from the sky, food falling. God provided water. God provided a cloud over them so that it had to be in the sun. God provided all of these things for them. And God delivered them 12 judges, you said, right? But the 11 before, God had been delivering these people from all these captives. God had been delivering these people, and what? They still fall back to this point of, hey, sorry, Samson, we got to give you to the Philistines. We got a good life. Sometimes we get so complacent with how our life is. Life is good. You know, I know I'm not living exactly the way I should. And the crazy thing is, you probably don't even see that we're not living the way that we should be living. They didn't see it. They were happy. They were happy just serving the gods that the Philistines served. And for us, again, we get to the point to where we're okay. We're okay. Life is good. Life is good. It's like Uncle had said one of those Fridays before. I'm glad when I had prayed for, again, that the day was kind of hard. And we said, I'm glad your day was hard.
Yeah.
Because life should not be easy. If life is easy, we might not be doing something right. If life is hard, that means we might be doing something right. That means that the enemy's trying to stir something up in us. The enemy's trying to get us off of the course that God has for us. And so again, that's where the Israelites are. Life is good. Everything's smooth sailing right now. And again, they tell him, we've come up to you because we're going to bind you up. We're going to take you. We're going to take you to the enemy. And he says, swear unto me that ye will not fall upon me yourselves. Verse 13, and they spake unto him, saying, no, but we will bind thee fast and deliver thee into their hand. But surely we will not kill thee. And they bound him with 2 new cords and brought him up from the rock. Verse 14, and when he came unto Leah, the Philistines shouted against him, and the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him. And the cords that were upon his arms became as flax that was burnt with fire, and his bands loosed from off his hands. And he found a new jawbone of a donkey, and put forth his hand and took it, and slew 1,000 men therewith. Again, a lot's going on. The people of God, the Israelites, tell him, he says, look, don't do this. Don't give me to the Philistines. And they say, no, we're going to.
Yeah.
We're going to. We're going to bind you up. So they bound him up, tied him up, and he didn't fight it.
Yeah, he said
He
it.
went. He said, okay. But then again, the Spirit, as it says,
Of the Lord.
verse 14, and when he came unto Leah, the Philistines shouted against him. They're yelling at him. I can imagine this whole army, this whole people, probably more than 3,000 people, yelling at him, screaming at him for everything he had done. And in that moment, the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him. And the cords, the ropes that they used to tie him up, became as flax. Do you know what that is? Can you look that up real quick? From what it sounds like, it doesn't sound very strong. They're going to use that as a comparison. So again, the ropes that they tie him up become as flax that was burnt with the fire. And from what it sounds like, from what I'm taking, it's going to be like the candlestick, right? Is that what it's going for?
Yeah.
What does it say?
It's so flax is like a seed, which is made of, like, I guess thin yarn.
Yeah.
So I guess they're.
There it says.
I guess they're meaning
It's
it
a
as
thin
like
yarn.
a thin yarn, like
Yeah.
a rope.
That was
became
burnt
something
with
thin.
a fire. So when you burn thin yarn, it does nothing.
Yeah.
And so again, the cords that they wrapped him up with become as flax that was burnt with fire. And his bands loose from his hands, and he found a new jawbone. A jawbone, okay? Again, this is a famous saying. He had a jawbone. He killed people with the jawbone of a donkey. So he finds a jawbone. Okay? And he put forth his hand and took it, and slew 1,000 men therewith. And Samson said, verse 16, with the jawbone of a donkey, heaps upon heaps, with the jaw of a donkey have I slain 1,000 men. Yeah, just yeah. But this is crazy to think that, again, we read things just to read things sometimes. But this stuff is deep. So he slays 1,000 men. And it says, and it came to pass, when he made an end of speaking, that he cast away the jawbone out of his hand,
Just for
and called that.
context,
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the jawbone of a donkey.
Can you get that on camera, Tristan? Is that on camera?
Just so you guys know, this is
Looks
what he
brutal.
killed 1,000 men with.
I can see how he used like.
Okay, Tristan. Yeah, it's like, oh, actually,
But
this is
1,000
This is
men.
a great, very lethal weapon.
No, but I can see. Yeah, I can see.
A
how,
But
thousand men.
1,000 men.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like,
Well, bones are pretty strong.
One man, though. One
Mhm.
man against 1,000 men.
imagine if you go into like.
And a donkey.
One man against
Jawbone.
1,000 men.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, and it says, and it came to pass when he had made an end of speaking that he cast away the jawbone. He threw it
Mm-hmm.
out of his hand. And he called that place Ramath Leah.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 18. And he was sore athirst, and called on the Lord, and said, Thou hast given this great deliverance into the hand of thy servant. And now shall I die for thirst, and fall into the hands of the uncircumcised, referring to the Philistines. So it says that after that, he becomes thirsty. Yeah, go ahead, Fuzzy.
That remath, I looked it up, and it's jawbone.
Oh, wow.
See, he's calling it.
He's referring to this place as the jawbone of Leah.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool.
Right? And so that it says he becomes so thirsty, right? That he calls upon the Lord and he says, Thou hast given this great deliverance into the hand of thy servants.
Mhm.
This great deliverance, 1,000 men
Mhm.
to me. And now I'm going to die from thirst. And verse 19 it says, But God clave a hollow place that was in the jaw, and there came water thereout.
Mhm.
And when he had drunk, his spirit came again, and he revived. Wherefore he called the name thereof En Hakor, which is in Leah unto this day. And he judged Israel in the days of the Philistines 20 years. And that's what we're going to end for today's episode.
Mhm.
Today's season.
Again,
To kind of like, I think we should do kind of like a recap on all.
yes, yeah, that's very important.
Mhm.
Again, so we're ending that in chapter 15. And like I said, the book of Judges is an amazing book. Again, not just a book to read, and I think it's very important. Again, youth, I'll tell y'all, take the time to study the Bible.
Mhm.
And not just to read it, just to read it.
But like I said, deep.
To read it. And again, there's meaning behind this stuff. We're breaking this stuff down, right? So again, we see that if we were just to read the 3,000 men walk up and they're talking to them, but when you break it down and you see, again, why 3,000 men? Why couldn't God send 20? Because he's making a statement, right? He's making a statement. God is showing them this is how many people questioned it, right? And again, things don't happen for just a coincidence. God is planning everything to happen for a purpose. Again, for his honor and his glory. Again, if the stars in heaven were made just to glorify his name.
Mhm.
The birds sing. They sing praises. The birds that tweet, all that stuff, that's to praise God. And it's just the smallest things, but everything is happening for a reason. Again, read the Bible with that intent.
Mm-hmm.
To understand that this is not just words. These are not just, yes, there are things that have happened, but in these things that have happened, there's God's glory here.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that God is trying to show. And so again, we're going to end there again from the recap. We'll do a quick recap. Again, the angel talks to the parents,
Mm-hmm.
gives them the rules,
Mm-hmm.
gives them, this is what has to happen. These are the orders from God. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And Samson's born, again, not allowed to cut his hair. One of his rules.
Mm-hmm.
And
then the Lord blessed him, and the Lord began to move with him.
yeah, now the Lord began to use him.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's like, so it says that he's going to be used by the Lord. But then he finds this woman that he likes. And then he starts making wagers, which again is,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of those things like, hey, I'm betting on this. I bet that you guys can't, gambling, right? I bet that you guys can't figure out this riddle. And if you do, I'll give you this. And if you don't, you give me this, right? And so he's already starting to do this stuff. And it's like, whoa, how's God going to use this guy? And it's like, well, look, God has something planned. Again, like I said, this is not just for Samson.
Mm-hmm.
This is for the people of Israel. This is for God's people. So things are happening, not just for Samson, but for the people of God.
Mm-hmm.
They might not see it. They have nothing to do with it in certain moments, but this is going to affect them.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, all that's happening, right? And then he makes a wager, right? Because he
Mhm.
sees the honeycomb in the stomach of the lion, right? And then so he says, I bet you can't find out what I'm talking about in this riddle. And then they go to his wife and they go, you need to get this, otherwise we're going to kill you and your dad, right? And so she's like, cries for 7 days, please tell me. And he's like, why would I tell you? I haven't even told my parents. Why would I tell you?
Mm-hmm.
He becomes so tired, and that's what tired, just the soreness. They put it in the context of sore, because when you hear the word sore, you think, man, my body's tired. I'm tired. I can't
Yeah.
go anymore. He was sore. And so he just gave in and said, okay, you know what? I'm going to tell you. And so he tells her, and then she goes ahead and tells, because she doesn't want to die. She doesn't want her dad to die, right? And so they come to him and they go, we figured it out. And he goes, yeah, if you didn't ask her, you would not have known. The heifer, yeah, I know. You would not have known. So he's already mad. And on all this anger, the Spirit of the Lord falls upon him. Again, this guy that has these issues and all this stuff is being used to free the people of Israel. The people of Israel are seeing this crazy, angry guy, and he goes and he kills men.
Mm-hmm.
30 men, right? To be exact.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that he owed, he takes it from them, the people that he killed, and gives it. He's like, here, have this,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then so the dad is like, oh my gosh, we're gonna die. This guy's gonna kill us. You know what, daughter, you go to this guy instead. Samson comes back for his wife, and then the dad's like, why are you here? I didn't think you were gonna come back. I thought you hated her the way you called her a heifer. I didn't think you were gonna want her back. And then he's like, why don't you take the younger daughter? Just take her instead. Samson's mad about that. He's like, why? I can't believe you would do this. The foxes come in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, like Brandon was saying, smart move. Foxes are fast. They're gonna fly. They're gonna go. And so he spreads them, right? And the foxes go running around. And the Philistines find out. The foxes destroy everything. The vineyards, the crops. The Philistines find out. And they're like, who did this? And it's like, Samson did. He did it because this man, the dad of his wife, gave her to someone else. So the Philistines want to make a statement now. And they go and they kill his wife. And the dad. Samson hears about this. Now Samson, full of rage, does what? Slaughters. Again, in such the way that they say, again, a slaughter is a very gruesome thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just building up. This thing's building up, right? Everything's building up. It's like, oh my gosh, everything happens for
A reason.
a reason. the build-up's happening. Boom, 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 boom. This happens, and this happens, and this happens,
Mhm.
right? And then he goes to the top of the mountain, and then they go to Judah, the city of Judah, and they're like, hey, why are you here? We're here to get Samson. And he goes, well, why? Because we're going to do what he did to us. We're going to do it right back to him. And so they go up to him. How many people?
3,000.
3,000 men.
Of his people.
His people.
Not even like the whole
God's
country.
people. They go up and they go, what are you doing? Do you not know who you are messing with? These are our captors. These are the people that we obey. These are the people. Now, who's saying this? God's people are saying this. God's people are saying, these are the people we obey. These are the people we submit to. Instead of saying, they submit to God. We obey God. No, we submit to the Philistines. We worship the idols that the Philistines worship. What are you doing? Right? We got to give you to them. He's like, look, promise me that you're not going to do this. And they're like, nope, we ain't making that promise because we're going to tie you up right now. And it says that they tied him up fast.
I
Right?
bet they.
That's what they
need
said.
to.
They said they tied him up fast and they took him down. And he doesn't do anything. They take him down. And then when they get there, it says that the Spirit of the Lord fell upon him. And the rope becomes like little yarn. And just falls off. And then he kills how many? 1,000 with a jawbone.
Wait, so were they their own people? So
He kills the Philistines.
Yeah, 1,000.
1,000 of the Philistines. Because you remember how it says he brings them to the Philistines and they all yell. And the Philistines are yelling at him. And the Spirit of the Lord falls upon him and he grabs the jawbone and kills the Philistines. And then not only that, he tells God, right? He says that this place is, again, he refers to it as the jawbone, right? The jawbone
It's
of
called
Leah, right?
Jawbone Hill.
Yeah, Hill, right? And so that's kind of crazy, right? So he calls that place this. He's like, and this is in remembrance of God for the deliverance that he sent. And then all of a sudden he becomes sore of thirst. So we said he was sore of the wife, but now he's sore of thirst. So what does that mean? He needs water. He's in a desperate, yeah, that's what you need today. He's in a desperate place of water, and he needs that, right? And so he says, I just did this crazy feat. Like, God, you did this, right? You did this amazing thing, and now you're going to have me die of dehydration? Like, and so God then puts water in the jawbone for him to drink from, right? And again, then it says, verse 20, and he judged Israel in the days of the Philistines for 20 years. And that was it. And so again, we'll continue from there, and we'll give another recap when we start next Thursday, the next episode. But again, brothers and sisters, I think this is so beautiful, and there's so much in this. There's so much in this one story again.
We're not even halfway done.
Yeah, and again, it's like, oh, well, that's a cool story, but that doesn't relate in whatsoever to me. I think we're talking about how this relates to us. How, again, there are things that happen that we don't see. There are things that God is doing behind the scenes that he's doing for us. Things are moving. Things are happening for us, for his people. Again, and I hope that I can be a part of that blessing. Like, I mean, I hope that if God's doing something that, you know, I can be a part of that I can, you know, see and witness some of that blessing, right? And I think we should make sure that we are striving and that we are pushing ourselves to be able to be a part of that, right? Because it says narrow is the path, right, to heaven, but wide is the gates to destruction, to hell. And I want to be a part of that narrow path and doing whatever I need to do, and not being, again, like the people of Israel were, complacent. They were happy where they were, serving the idols. That's where they wanted to be. Why are you messing this up? Why you getting them all riled up? Samson, everything's been good. That happens to us. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean I can't do this anymore? Well, why are you saying this? Preaching happens and it affects us. Well, what do you mean that we can't do this? What do you mean we can't talk like this? What do you mean we can't act like this? A youth message is brought. Wait, what do you mean we can't do this anymore? Not can't do this anymore, but what do you mean that this is wrong? What are you saying? Again, sometimes we get complacent and we don't see that we're doing something wrong, but when the word tells us that we're doing something wrong, right? Again, there's a lot of stuff that is relevant to now. And again, we're going to continue this next Thursday, but just want to thank everybody for,
Tuning
you know,
in.
yeah, for hanging out and, you know,
going
tuning
through the
in
story
and going
with
through
us.
going on this ride with us, this journey with us, because again, there's a lot to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're gonna go ahead and play this last song. And
Do you want to read some of the comments before?
Oh yes, I'm so sorry. Sister Veronica says, "God bless you guys. Thank you for your dedication. You are doing a great job." And Brother James says, "Praise the Lord." And Lorenzo says, "God bless."
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Anything else? Any comments? Any questions? Any concerns?
No, yeah, I guess just God bless everyone, and hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow, and let's come tomorrow with the mindset of praising the Lord and giving Him all of our worship. But also, since you guys know, kind of we're gonna be finishing us up next week. If you guys have any questions or want us to touch on everything, let us know. That way we can start preparing for it for next Thursday. That way we can kind of bring it up and be like, oh, well, someone said this.
Yeah.
Can we go into more detail about it? And that way we can just all kind of just help each other build off of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think this program is so that we can help just understand everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, and just God bless you guys.
You guys have anything? You're just along for the ride, right? You're learning
I'm
something.
just listening.
Yeah, you're along for the ride. You're learning, right?
Yeah.
And again, that's very important. I want to end with this song. It's called, yeah, you know what? I'm going to say it. And I hope you guys, after hearing this song, go out and continue to listen to it. I believe this song is a pretty powerful song. And it's called When I Shout. And it's by Indiana Bible College. And like Felicity was saying, tomorrow we have an opportunity to come to the house of praise and worship and, receive and to be in the presence of God, right? Whether 2 or 3 are gathered in His name, He is there. And, tomorrow we can come here and be ready to give God the praise and the worship and to offer ourselves as the living sacrifices that we read. And so, again, brothers and sisters, God bless you all, and thank you all for tuning in, and thank you all for staying for this little later episode. But again, let's come here tomorrow, ready to praise and serve the Lord, and God bless you all, and can't wait to see y'all tomorrow. Amen.
Come on, let's lift a shout of praise in this place. Hallelujah. Isn't He worthy to be praised? Worthy to be glorified. Thank you, Jesus. Yes. For anyone who's ever seen the mountain of their sins just disappear. For anyone who's ever felt the hand of heaven reach down through their fears and dry their tears. Well, any life that once was empty, that now finds itself alive and full of songs, victory songs. Well, then you'll understand the reason for the way the saints of God may carry on. Come on, you believe that? Oh! I'm shouting, for my heart has been washed clean. When I run, no, I'm running, for my past has been redeemed. To the world it might look crazy, but there's just no telling what you're gonna do. In that moment, Jesus gets all of you. In that moment, yeah. For anyone who knows the hope that keeps them moving on through troubled days. You know that hope in here? For anyone who knows they have a future and a hope beyond the grave. Well, every life's a different story, how He brought us out of darkness into light. Whoa. love this next part. My past erased, my name he changed. Let's testify. Whoa, my past erased, my name he changed. Let's testify. Oh, come on, we gotta proclaim that in this place. My past erased, my name he changed. Let's testify. Let's testify. My past erased, my name he changed. Let's testify. 'Cause when I shout, no, I'm shouting from a heart that's been washed clean. Where I run, no, I'm running from a past that's been redeemed. To the world, it might look crazy, but there's just no telling what you're gonna do. Oh, Jesus gets a hold of you. My past erased, my name he changed. Let's testify, let's testify, let's testify. Whoa, my past erased, my name he changed. Let's testify, let's testify. Let's shout that one more time. My past erased, my name he changed. Let's testify, let's testify, let's testify. Whoa, my past erased, my name he changed. Let's testify. Hallelujah.
La pobreza no es eterna, eso ténganlo seguro. No más